Do not adjust your tracking. You are now listening to the VHS Saturday podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of VHS Saturday, the show where we discuss the strange and unusual, odd and obscure VHS tapes that we obtain through thrift, gift, and grift. My name is Henry.
And I'm Ellison.
And this week, we watched a movie called Iron Eagle.
Also known as the Top Gun ripoff that came out 4 months before Top Gun.
But it was written 3 years before Top Gun.
Yeah.
And was in development hell, I guess, for 3 years somehow. I don't know how. That doesn't make any sense for it. It wasn't a high budget movie at all.
Yeah, there really wasn't a whole bunch of behind the scenes info on this one. There was a lot of people talking about it. People are certainly familiar with this. I don't know if I would even consider it obscure so much.
Yeah, it's not totally obscure.
But we did have different motivations as to why we chose this movie. So, Henry, why did we choose to watch Iron Eagle this week?
Well, to understand that, first we have to step back to last week when Fact Fiend uploaded a video about this cake that Tom Cruise is so obsessed with. He gifts it to hundreds of celebrities every year for Christmas. So much so that during the pandemic, this one bakery in LA was able to survive the pandemic just based on Tom Cruise's expenses there every year. And so, of course, me being me, I said, how much is this fucking cake?
Right.
Because that sounds like it's a very expensive cake. I know cakes can get stupid expensive.
Of course, wedding cakes and shit.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, how much is this ridiculous cake? I'm expecting this amazing decadent cake where every celebrity says it's the greatest cake they've ever tasted.
Mm-hmm. And
this cake has got to be ridiculous. So I look it up. If you're in the LA area, it's $50.
That is not bad.
That's not, which makes me go, oh my God, he's buying so many more cakes than I thought.
Yeah.
But, $50, $100 total to ship it with dry ice. A fresh one shipped in a box of dry ice. $100. I've spent that much money on a cake before. Fuck it. So I bought it. To justify the absolute gluttonous concept of ordering a $100 cake just because Tom Cruise said so, we decided to have BBQ and B movies. Threw a whole party on the roof of the complex and had a get together. First time since 2019. Yeah.
It was really nice. That we're all vaccinated and stuff. And for the first time in forever, we were able to just hang out and socialize without masks on or anything.
The last time I hung out at Thai was in October, and we made an agreement. It was an outside, social distanced, masked hangout between the two of us.
Even Christmas, me and my family members, we all wore masks and shit, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was really nice getting to meet some of your friends.
Meeting some of your friends too.
Yeah, and to just, I don't know, hang out. It felt kind of foreign. It's been so long, I forgot that it's a thing we can do. But anyways, the cake was delicious. I loved it. We just had some after dinner tonight too.
Tom Cruise was totally right. That is one of the most best cakes I've ever had.
It's very good. It's like a white chocolate coconut bundt cake.
Yes.
And it's it's just got a really good texture. The cake to frosting ratio is on point.
It looks, on the pictures, it looks like it's absolutely caked in coconut. I did not even mean for it to be a pun. It looks but that's not. It's got a very thin layer of coconut shaving.
It's the perfect amount.
Yeah, it looks way crazier but that's because the white chocolate icing underneath just creates this illusion that there's layers of coconut.
Yeah.
So if it's the coconut, if you're not too into coconut, don't let that dismay you. Get this cake.
So if our listeners want to try this cake, where can they order it from?
You saying that we're sponsored?
We're not sponsored, but just in case.
I mean,
you're curious and you have $100 to spend.
This is goldbelly.com. They're the people that distribute it for them.
Excellent.
Oh God. So
we thought we didn't have really anything in our catalog with Tom Cruise specifically.
I was looking for things where Tom Cruise wasn't famous yet, because we've been found out that's kind of what we stumble into. Like, that's kind of become our thing now. We've done it like 4 times and on accident, each one. And I couldn't find anything. Yeah. So then I was like, oh, you know what? Mission Impossible has got to have some like Asylum ripoff films.
Of course.
No. There's nothing.
Really?
Yeah. There's absolutely nothing. And so I was just thinking about other famous movies Tom Cruise has been that we would have had a ripoff movie. So obviously it would narrow mostly down to like action. Mm-hmm. I couldn't think of anything. I couldn't find anything on anything else. But I do remember that I have a copy of Iron Eagle, and I never have seen Iron Eagle. I only picked it up because when I watched Cobra Kai, the main character is obsessed with the movie Iron Eagle.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I had never heard of it before. Completely unfamiliar. As a matter of fact, I'll admit I've never even seen Top Gun before.
That's good.
Yeah, you showed me some clips on YouTube, and I was surprised. I thought that like the dialogue was really like well written, and it was captivating.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch it.
I remember
especially after
watching. It was one of those movies that like I knew like grown-ups liked when I was a kid, so I kind of just like whatever. And I saw there was a lot of talking. I was like, this movie's fucking stupid. But then I watched it when I was like 20. So this is like 13, 14 years ago. I watched it when I was like around 20, and I was like, whoa, this movie's fucking rad.
Not to be confused with the movie Rad,
which is not very rad.
No.
So yeah, I was like, okay, so we got Iron Eagle. It's not super obscure, but it meets other criteria. It is kind of, it is strange. It's an odd one. And, it's a ripoff of sorts.
Yeah, it's one of those, we talk about this kind of concept in a previous episode. I cannot remember which one, because we are fucking 19 episodes in at this point. Yeah. That is insane. Shit's crazy. So, like, shout out to our listeners for all of your support throughout these 20 episodes. But anyways, Iron Eagle, there isn't a whole lot of information about the development behind the scenes, the type of stuff we really like diving deep into. And
I can talk about Top Gun stuff behind the scenes all day, though. I have so much.
Well, the thing is, though, is that people do seem to remember Iron Eagle and remember it somewhat fondly.
Yeah.
Even articles that we found that were, maybe not so...
They were razzing it.
Yeah, they weren't so positive. Like 90% of the review was still like, yeah, it's decent. It's a decent movie.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, and I think that's very true. That's kind of how I would sum up how I feel about it.
Yeah.
That, like, it's competent. It looks like a movie. Mm-hmm. It sounds like a movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie.
Well, here's the thing. When you said this movie's competent,
you disagree.
So I do disagree a little bit, because if you recall, we stopped the movie numerous times while we were watching it, because this movie is about the Air Force. And it's about some Air Force some civilians that are family members of Air Force.
Right.
And I'm an Air Force veteran. So there's a whole lot of things that were just sticking very, very much out to me. So I was making fun of a lot of that. And like, it feels like was not enough research done.
Right. So Top Gun is about airmen who are in the Navy.
They're still seamen, but they are in avionics.
Okay, yeah, I guess. Look, I don't know the terminology, so you'll have to correct me when I'm wrong, which I know you will. So they're still in the Navy, but they fly planes. So like they have all kinds of different rules and shit than the Air Force.
Right.
But Iron Eagle is like strictly Air Force.
Right.
So you're very familiar
with that.
with all of the inconsistencies.
Exactly. Like there's stuff, if I watch something about the Army or the Navy or the Marines, I'll catch some stuff that I know. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of things that are like, because the Navy, they have 12 different uniforms.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So they all have different purposes for different types of, scenarios that you're going to be in, different events. Like you have your like blues, dress blues, you have your dress whites, you have your brown ones, which are called peanut butters as a nickname. So, so you have like multiple dress uniforms. In the Air Force, I had my blues, and I had my formal blues where I wore the blazer over my blues, and that's it.
That's it.
There's also like a black tie version where it's almost like a tuxedo version of the Air Force uniform. But that's it. Like that we had 3. And the Navy literally has 12 uniforms.
Wow.
Well, if you count the different, because they have like 4 different camouflage patterns. And so if I watch a movie about the Navy, I don't know if they're supposed to be wearing brown or white or blue. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no concept of those customs and courtesies of that branch. But Top Gun did have military advisors. So like that's why there was so much accuracy to that film. Yeah.
It's not perfect from what I've heard.
Some people feel weird because they feel like it's impersonation. Like,
and we know that people are definitely weird about that.
Yeah. Even when it's just a whole movie, so it's like you get something wrong. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was a few years ago when I stumbled down like the Stolen Valor rabbit hole on YouTube.
Yeah.
And people literally will just like go around with their phones and like walk up to people and be like, bro, why are you pretending to be in the military and stuff? Like
yeah, there's so many people that just do that. They pretend to be in the military.
Yeah.
And like,
gotta get that 10% off my movie ticket, man. Like,
fuck. And like, there's
popcorn's expensive.
Here's the thing. Here's how I know these people are all fucking stupid that do that. There's the people that do Stolen Valor. We can tell they're stupid because instead of just going by as like a normal airman or soldier, I'm an E3. I have no additional badges yet because I've barely been in. Mm-hmm. Right? The easiest shit to set up. You put your fucking, find out the ribbons people get when they graduate from fucking basic training. The ones the basically a participation trophy. It's like you passed basic training. They're like, as soon as you're in the military, you're going to have those ones, This information is all online. Yes.
Like, you could very easily look it up and make sure that your uniform is accurate.
Yes. The military dress and appearance accordance is public. Yeah. The actual, the Air Force instruction, the AFI, the actual ruling that gets considered, you can just fucking look up. But what I'm saying is, be a normal ass soldier. But what they do is they fucking stack their goddamn ribbon rack like it's fucking Call of Duty achievements. And they're like,
and they lie about like losing their friends in war and all this.
Yeah, and they're shit. Like, I've been deployed 2,700 times. I've killed 14,000 men. They always say the most stupid, inane shit. If you want to just impersonate the military, go in as an E3. You got a couple fucking stripes. You get your normal ass fucking badges and your ribbons. And, what do? I'm a cop. Security forces. What do you do all day? We guard the gate. We check IDs. Yeah. And then we catch people speeding on base.
Yeah, now give me 10% off.
You just have give a normal ass job. Yeah. There's so many normal fucking jobs. My best friend, Matt, he was in the Air Force also. He was a cook.
Yeah, I forget about that sometimes. As an outsider, you look at the military and you're like, oh, combat. Right? That's all you think about. And so, when you told me that you were in the Air Force, I was like, wow, he must be really good at fighting and guns and stuff, or maybe he knows how to fly a plane. But then you realize that oh no, you just had a desk job, I
stared at Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah. And now the government pays you to live in your apartment. Yeah. So that's cool.
to go get my fucking bachelor's degree. Yeah,
Yeah.
they paid for my bachelor's.
Nice.
But no, like, if you're gonna do Stolen Valor, make yourself a normal dude. Because obviously doing Stolen Valor, you're not amounting to anything. So by just lying about being a normal ass dude, that's still an improvement.
Yeah, I
right?
definitely think that some people, they get these like delusions of grandeur and stuff. And
100%.
They want the sympathy from people. And so it's like they have to lie about doing all of these crazy, brave, extreme things.
I mean, you can still try to milk that sympathy without going so out there. You can be like, yeah, I can't feel my leg because I got hit when I was deployed.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a very interesting rabbit hole to fall down, but
So we watched Iron Eagle.
yes.
Right? So we watched Iron Eagle because the Tom Cruise connection. This is the closest thing to like a Tom Cruise ripoff film.
Right.
But really the only similarities is the fact that airplane.
Yeah, as someone who has not seen Top Gun in full, unfortunately, I can't really compare and contrast the plot or anything like that.
There's no comparison and contrasting. It's this.
That's good.
Yeah.
Maybe Top Gun is a good movie then, because the plot to this movie was pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
I definitely found myself getting a little like worked up. After a while, I was just like, bro, are you fucking serious right now? Like the shit that they get into is like, it's unacceptable. I'm like, I know I'm supposed to like suspend my, my disbelief here and
Right.
and pretend and be like, yeah, this is a badass story and just kind of shut my brain off a little bit. But like, there wasn't enough explosions for me to shut my brain off.
Those all happen in the end.
Yeah.
At the very end, it's like, you gotta use up all the explosion budget. Like,
There were a couple explosions in the beginning.
so,
And they're like Team America looking.
yeah,
like
there was a lot of models for the planes used. The way they're flying, a lot of times you could tell that they that they're models because that's not how planes fly. But that's reasonable to pass, whatever. But the explosions on them is like literally, you could tell the plane model is completely fucking static.
yeah.
And then the fucking squib goes off and it explodes.
Yeah.
Like,
Every time something blew up, we had a good laugh. Every time.
God, those are I don't know what it is about those models that looked so fake.
I don't know. But I got like Team America vibes from it, because that's like how
Team America did it on purpose.
Yeah, they
though.
wanted it to look cheap and bad and stupid and like
They wanted to drive home the point. This is a model,
Right.
Because these are puppets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was thinking you could seriously take those sequences from Team America and just kind of like cut in these explosions, and I don't know if anyone would know the difference.
I don't think so.
But yeah, this movie is about this kid named Doug, whose dad is in the Air Force.
Right.
And he gets taken prisoner by some fictional Middle Eastern country.
He gets taken prisoner because he gets shot down
Like during a dogfight.
during a dogfight that was happening over international waters. So he was within means to do it. So he shouldn't be taken as a POW, but they are.
Yeah. What was the name of the country again? They made something up. Like,
Yeah. Let's see. It's like they like jumbled the word Libya around, but it wasn't,
yeah. It's always weird to me when movies like make up fake countries.
Yeah.
It's like Genovia.
Princess of Genovia.
Yeah. They do make a line like referencing that in the movie somewhere. There's like two characters talking. They're like, Genovia, where is that? And it's like, oh, I hear it's like between Spain and Portugal or something. And it's like, obviously there's nothing there in real life, but it's just kind of a joke.
Belia.
Belia?
Mm-hmm. Iron Eagle is the worst thing that happened to the Air Force since Vietnam.
Holy shit. That is quite a headline.
The production of the 1986 action flick Iron Eagle is not supported by the U.S. Air Force for obvious reasons. The script.
Yes. You said that.
Yeah.
When we were watching it, you're like, there's no way the Air Force signed off on this because the whole premise of the movie is like this guy's dad gets taken as a prisoner of war and the Air Force isn't doing anything about it. So this kid decides...
The Air Force and even the White House, they don't want to do anything about it because, like, they're using this guy as, like, a bargaining chip, essentially, about oil.
Yeah, like embargoes or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this kid decides, well, if they're not going to do it,
because this kid's also a pilot.
Yes, but he's not in the Air Force or
He's a senior in high school.
Yeah, he's literally just like, they have a club.
They have a club of like young pilots.
Yeah, and like they're he's trying to get into the Air Force Academy, but he gets rejected. And so this kid with hardly any experience, no military training whatsoever, like, he decides that he's going to go save his dad.
He cooks up this entire plan with all his buddies that are in this, like, playing club. And, he also meets this full-bird colonel, Chappie.
Yes.
Because the bullies, who we never saw again, he was being bullied in the beginning of the movie.
That's true.
He's being bullied at the beginning of this movie. And they get challenged to a race between the dirt bike and his airplane because that makes sense.
Yeah.
And when they get to the flight line, they see this gentleman like working on his plane. Oh, and they all live on a military base too. These are all kids that live on base, which is fair. That's how it works. You have like neighborhoods on base and shit. Playgrounds. It's an entire like little mini city. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't realize that on military bases. Like I realize that like civilians don't realize that it's like a little mini city.
We had a discussion about that, and I remember you like laughed at me quite a bit because of how wrong I was.
There's like a movie theater, a bowling alley.
That I was like, oh, I thought it was just like a field with a bunch of tents and like
multiple bars.
Like
There's a mall.
like a military base. Like in Halo, it's like
there's a skate park. Yes, your military bases have skate parks.
That's pretty sick. And they're like guys with like buzzed hair, like just tearing up the fucking.
Yeah, I skated when I was in the military. I had friends that skated too when we were in the military.
That's awesome.
Like, just normal dudes, which is what I'm saying. When you're doing fucking stolen valor, just be a normal fucking dude. You won't get caught.
Yeah.
So.
You heard it here, folks. Henry's telling you how to get away with stolen valor. It's his fault.
Just don't be stupid.
Yeah.
If you don't be stupid.
I think they're already like...
Right. That's the thing.
They've already failed.
That's what I'm saying earlier. You gotta be really fucking stupid to do this. And that's how come they go for like, this giant, like, I'm a trained sniper, blah, 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 all this bullshit. Be like, no, man, I just check ID cards.
I'm basically just like a bouncer at the Air Force.
Speaking of... This kid just like plows through the fucking like security gate at the Air Force Base during to go from the race.
Oh yeah, so like this being especially a pre 9/11 movie, like the things that this kid gets away with in real life, like he would have got shot.
Yes,
like a long time ago.
100%. So like. He just takes his Mustang, like plows through the checkpoint, and guy's just like, hey, and he waves as if it's like a normal fucking movie.
I'm like, you literally have a gun.
Right, yeah. So when I had to be at the gate, I had to wear my second chance vest, my bulletproof vest over it, and I had a gun, and then a rifle. I had 2 guns, basically.
Yeah. And if someone just fucking completely disregards your authority and barrels past
we have a button that we push, and then the things come out of the ground. Like a wall comes out of the ground. So.
Yeah, like there are measures in place.
Yeah. And this guy just goes, whoa, hey, as if it's like a parking lot.
I know.
And then that's it. You like what would have happened is you would have called it in, right?
Yeah.
And then military police, if you're not on Air Force Base, security forces, if it's an Air Force Base, different name, same job. They're just cops. They have like sirens on their car and everything. And they would have pulled him over. But no, just fucking goes.
Yeah, just let him in.
That's fine.
That's just Doug.
But I mean, like back in the day, you didn't have to show an ID, but you did have to have your car's. You had to have a sticker on your car that you got by submitting your like license plate. So that car is authorized to be in, and it was like, yo, and they wave you. They used to wave us through, but not like that,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, that was fucking ridiculous. And so then he like gets in and he's a total fucking brat.
Yeah. So they do the race and then he finds out people like, hey, there's news about your dad. And he starts trying to find out information about what's going on with his dad because people just told him something happened to his dad, but they won't tell him what. So then he like goes into like areas that are marked like top secret and like classified and other various things. And this is a fucking 17-year-old, maybe 18-year-old civilian with 0 security clearance.
Yeah.
And he's just walking all through these fucking places as if that's A-O fucking K.
It's like they treat the Air Force Base like a fucking normal office building.
Yes, exactly.
Where it's like you can just barge in and like be like, hey, can I get this?
Oh, I got this thing for you from Doug.
Yeah. And it's just like, and like the people at the desk are, you know, their uniforms are totally off. They're not following like any standards. And it's like.
There's this one that's supposed to be like, her job was a personnel. She actually had like basically what my job was.
Yeah, like a secretary kind of.
Yeah. And they made her look like your stereotypical overweight desk secretary. She had like a pencil in her hair bun, which is not allowed at all.
Right.
And she was overweight and everything else like that. And it's like, these are they're military still, guys. Like,
yeah.
You know, like they're still regular.
Yeah. Like it's just, they treat it like a normal fucking office building. There's no rules. There's no like accountability. It was just absolutely ridiculous.
So he storms into like this giant war room with like all these supercomputers and shit going around him. And he finds this lieutenant colonel who is played by the same guy who played Tex in Robot Jocks. I got very excited when I saw that. I don't know if he was doing a voice, but the voice was the same as this character Tex. So, but he's this overweight Texan guy, and he's the lieutenant colonel, and he's telling this kid some information, but he can't tell him all of it. He's like, your dad got captured, blah, blah, blah. The White House isn't going to do anything about it. The Air Force can't do anything without White House approval. He gave the whole entire spiel about it's not happening. And he's like, we can't do anything. Doug, I'm sorry. My hands are fucking tied. And he didn't give him all that information. And he was also like, I can't tell you this information, Doug. This is very classified. He's like, please, sir, it's my dad. He's like, okay, no one else can know that I'm telling you this. And he's saying this in a war room with several dozen other airmen milling about.
Right.
And we have
just like, all right, I guess I'll tell you, but don't tell anyone, okay?
Right? It's
like what the fuck?
It's like, this is a locked down, classified room, authorized access only, and you have a 17-year-old civilian.
Yeah.
And he's talking to the highest ranking person there. And he's like, no one can know I telling you this. And like, there's people just like next to them as they're like walking by.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have a bunch of fucking witnesses.
And he doesn't speak to them with any kind of like respect or formality. No. He's just a fucking little dick. And everyone's just like, oh, that's just Doug. And they just deal with it. And I'm like, this kid needs to get his ass kicked.
Right. He's like trying to strive so hard, saying he's ready to be in the military. And like, you know, his dad was doing so much for him and stuff. He was like really aspiring to that. But then he talks to all these high ranking officers like, that's bullshit and all this other stuff. And it's like, bro, like, respect.
Yeah, that like, no wonder they won't fucking let you in.
It's like, it's just, you
obviously have like think you're better than everyone else. So we found his dad's dead. No, not dead. His dad is captured now. No, he goes to the simulator. Yes. That's another thing. Yeah, they just let him use the fucking simulator whenever he wants.
After that happens, there's like a prom, right?
Yeah.
That happens.
It's one of those like teen dance
and they have
scenes where like they're choreographed for some reason.
Because of the two minority characters.
Yeah.
Therefore they can dance. Mm-hmm. And so they made them do this big dance and everyone clapped. And he's just like hanging out on the base, essentially. And he goes to another classified area, like, and he's like, hey, can I use a simulator, sir? And he's like, well, we have somebody that is supposed to be coming in to use it, but you can use it until then. And it's like, wait. It's not an arcade. This is a top secret, like, thing. Yeah. Like, only certain people can see and let alone use this training simulator for this machine, an F-16.
Right. And they just let him fucking do it.
They let him get into it like it's fucking Sega's Afterburner at the arcade. Like, yeah. He just gets in there, shuts the cockpit, does a simulation, and then he's leaving, and we see that gentleman that was working on his plane on the flight line, Chappie, and he finds out Chappie is a full bird colonel and 06 in the ranking, and he was supposed to be in the simulator, but now he can't because Doug took too long. He ate into his simulator time. Mm-hmm. Now, Doug's time in the simulator was literally about 1 minute.
Right.
Because he died in the sim. So Chappie was really late. That would make sense, right? Yeah. Chappie had to have run really late. Mm-hmm. That's the only way that would make sense.
It just makes me mad. Like, Chappie should get priority.
Right.
He's worked his ass off.
He's been in for 22 years.
Yeah.
They should have like knocked on the sim. Hey, Doug, time's up. The colonel's here.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about full bird colonel. When a full bird was coming to our building, we would get notified first because they have secretaries. We would he would get priority parking from our office. We put out, there was a sign for full bird to be parked. They only have to go to the parking spot. They can park at the fucking door. Fuck your ADA compliance. Mm-hmm. And someone would be standing by, and when they came in, they would announce attention. And no matter where the fuck you are in that building, you are supposed to stop and stand at attention. Yeah. Until he says at ease, and you can go back to doing whatever the fuck you're doing. And when he comes into a room, you do the same thing. Like, an officer comes in the room, this fucking
yeah.
Nah.
That he's just out there like working on planes and.
Well, because they said he's in the reserves now. Yeah. Because that's the next conversation. Because after he leaves, he's like, I didn't know you were in the military too. It's like, yes, 22 years I've been in. It's like, a fucking full bird. Wow. He's like, why were you just working on planes? Are you only in the reserves now? He's like, yep. Which is fine. You can definitely do that. And so they start talking about the entire scenario with his dad. And he's like, I got a plan. I need you to help me. And he's like, I'm not going to help you. That's a stupid plan. And he's like, you don't care.
You don't even care about my dad.
He's like, you don't care about anybody else except you. And he gets upset. And
he's like, my boys died in Nam.
Yeah, he has lost people underneath him. And he's like, dude, you're being disrespectful as fuck. And I was saying the same thing, like, dude.
Yeah, he was, though.
Like, you're just mouthing off to this dude. So then he comes up with a more fleshed out plan, and he calls in his whole entire Flying Eagles gang. His Flying Eagles club. They all meet up inside their clubhouse, which you said looks like a Mickey Mouse club.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
It's made out of
like old plane parts
and stuff. It's like those are still worth a lot. It doesn't make any sense for it. Like, it fits the theme, but realistically, no.
Right.
No, not at all. That would not work. But he cooks up this plan, and because they're all military brats also, they all have to steal various forms of information about where his dad's location is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, glasses kid, your dad works in Intel. So you're going to go in and you're going to steal some Intel. And like, they all had this plan. And like, one of the things that he did was like, he got some papers from one office that they just trusted this kid with military documents for to carry down to hall to somebody else. But that's when we get the fat secretary who's still in the Air Force somehow. And he gives them, he's like, oh, these are from down the hall. Oh, thanks, blah, 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 blah. And he like, oh, you should go do this. She's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And he's
hacking into the mainframe.
Like
as they say.
Yeah, he literally later goes, I'm in. Like, we make that joke where he's like, I'm in. But then we get another bit later where he's like,
actually says that.
Yeah, and it's like, damn it, wow, really? Yeah. Jesus.
Henry, you were just calling the lines. Like,
yeah.
The script was really predictable.
Yeah.
There were so many times you would just like say, like, you would say something and then the character would say it immediately after.
They want them destroyed. Yeah. Maybe I've seen way too many 80s action movies. I don't know.
Honestly, for the podcast at this point, like, I mean, how many other movies have we reviewed so far that are specifically from 1986?
I think it's a good chunk, yeah.
Like, it's kind of odd.
I feel like that was a good year. That's like when some of my favorite movies ever came out, actually.
Yeah.
So they have like these girls whose dad does something with like maps. So they steal them. They go in, they distract her dad, and then like they just literally steal military maps. They're like I cannot stress this enough. These kids are just stealing military intelligence and they're formulating this plan. This is why the Air Force would not sign off on this script, because it's just like you would have the most bullshit being like think about cybersecurity right now. Right. That field. It's like that would be such a laughing stock. A military Air Force and just some kids can like tap you on one shoulder and basically go around you, and
it's definitely played for laughs. Like, the whole point is you're supposed to relate to the teenagers, right? Like, you're supposed to be like, yeah, fuck authority, that whole like late 80s, early 90s kind of attitude. And like, I don't know, it's just played for fun that like, yeah, these parents just don't understand.
But it's an entire military. Like,
yeah, and so it's like they're treating the military like it's
your typical kind of thing. Like, there's one scene with the hangar, and they light strings of firecrackers, and they throw them into the barrel. So they're just throwing these firecrackers around. So people think there's bases being under attack, like, and they're gunfire. And they're ducking and covering. And they did so like Glasses Kid could go into another room and like do more That's when we got the I'm in. And they're
Yeah.
like sitting behind the barrel, like throwing firecrackers, and they're giggling. And it's just like,
Dude, like, this isn't funny.
the base would go entirely on lockdown if
Like-
there was even the faintest concept that there was a shooting on base.
You would get fucked up. Like, that would be on your record forever. You would never be able to fly again. You probably couldn't even live on the base anymore.
Oh yeah, you would get kicked out when your dad got back from being a POW. He would probably lose rank.
Yeah,
it would. Yeah, there's so like that's like yelling fire in a movie theater.
yeah. It's crazy that it's played as a fucking like joke. Like, it's supposed to be funny.
Like anything else, like okay, ha ha ha, but like a military base, the entire purpose of which is to kill bad guys.
Yeah.
That's why it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And like the fact that no one tries to like fight back in any way, they just like all run and hide like they're office workers.
Yeah. Just mind-boggling, and it just gets worse and worse as the movie goes on. Like, the things that they get away with get more and more unbelievable and extreme.
So we find out at some point Doug's dad would take him and let him fly the jets, and have him pose as a pilot. And it's like, wait, what fucking officer in the Air Force would risk that?
I know.
That makes no fucking sense. That like, yeah, I can't believe that at all. Like,
Yeah.
even if they've driven other things, it's different. Like the kid is a pilot, but like he hasn't flown a fucking military jet.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of driving, he drives like a Mustang, but he drives like a total fucking asshole.
Mm-hmm.
He is like a terrible, dangerous driver.
Yeah.
And I was like, please God, fly planes better than you drive. And I mean, all things considered, he's pretty good at flying planes. I'll give him that. He does all these like, rolls and tricks and,
Made a lot of Star Fox jokes.
a lot of Star Fox jokes, of course. But whatever.
They create the plan.
They create the plan, and then they have Chappie helping them along the way.
Because they go to Chappie's house, and he's like, I need your help to steal an Air Force F-16. I got all the intel here for you.
I think the line he says word for word is like, you want intelligence? I got a whole bag full of it right here. And I just thought that was funny. It's my bag full of intelligence.
So he's got all this shit now. This is like a trailer. Chappie's house is a trailer in a desert.
Yeah.
Now, I had to stop the movie and explain to Allison, like, wait, he's living in a trailer. He's a full-bird colonel who has been in the service for over 22 years. For the record, in 2021, a full-bird colonel gets $11,500 a month as their salary.
Yeah.
And he's living in a trailer.
And even like, we even checked for like, to account for the differences between like, 1986 and today, and like it's pretty much the same amount.
In 1986, a 06 officer got a
with 22 years of experience.
Yeah, with 22. Yeah, the same exact years in service and pay grade. He was getting like $4,500 a month, and we adjust that for inflation. It was like $10,900. So like we're literally looking at like a few $100 difference, but that's still $10,000 a month essentially.
That's insane. And he's living in this little fucking
trailer,
beat up trailer.
Now, it's got like I can't tell if that hangar was like nearby or what. It wasn't connected, but he also had like Air Force like plane hangar for some reason. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make any fucking sense. So he agrees to them. He was like, okay, you got me. And it's silly because it seems almost like a heist movie.
Yeah.
Where they're roping them in like, I got it all here. I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You get the muscle, you get the brains.
Yep. Yeah, so they put this plan together.
And they have to go to the airfield, and they say they're signed up for a specific like running a certain path, and they said they weren't on the list. And then his buddies come in and like, oh, they give it to the guy who's checking the list before giving, I don't know, not necessarily even giving the keys to the fucking jets, but basically giving yeah, go ahead, we're not gonna like freak out if you go get in the jet right now. And they give him the things like, this just came in, there's some alterations to today's flight path. So he's like, oh, there you guys are. Yeah, go on ahead, eh? And like, I don't know why I made him Canadian, but they're like, okay.
Well, wait a second. Wasn't this directed by a Canadian or produced by a Canadian?
Yeah, it has a connection to Canada.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's why it's so inaccurate. Anyways.
So.
Yeah, they do like a test run, and where basically he gets to fly the jet and blow some stuff up.
And he sucks at it. And Chappie's like, I'm out. You can't even hit fucking, broadside of a barn. And
yeah,
he's like, wait, I got it. And he puts music on his tape deck that he brought with him, which was foreshadowed during the race against the bully. The bully, which we never see again.
Yeah.
Makes no fucking sense. So it's like Baby Driver. He's listening to the music, and then all of a sudden it's like pew pew pew. He's just fucking like bullseye.
Yeah.
And like, okay, yeah, I'm in now. And so then they get together. They finally decide to have their last moment of like finalizing the plan when to activate, because they find out his dad is going to be executed in 3 days by hanging. So they gotta, get a move on. So they get set up on the schedule again to fly some planes, and they have all these weapons like loaded up onto the 2 jets. And Chappie had already like recorded actually like a tape in case he doesn't make it, to guide him through the rest of the mission together. And they deviate off their plan, and they change their frequency so that the Air Force couldn't hear them. And then they go and
they literally fly to this fucking fictional Middle Eastern country alone. It's just the 2 of them. And they literally start committing terrorism and like just blowing shit up.
Yeah, they just start attacking various things, like just shooting you down. And Chappie gets hit, and like they're doing more shit, they're blowing more shit up, and then Chappie has to like bail, and he's like, listen to the tape, and like he goes away. And
we think that he dies.
Yes, it is insinuated that Chappie is dead, because the plane gets hit and he was barely holding on. And we see the words eject, eject, eject on his like speak and spell. There's like
there's like a little like the console in the plane.
Yeah,
it looks like a fucking Commodore 64 or something, where it's like it's just calculator style, green backlit. It's like a speak and spell, like hands down, and it'll pop up things like target locked, target hit, and it's like, I don't think an F-16 has a HUD like that. Yeah, but whatever. For narrative purposes, it will have to do.
It's pretty lazy, but anyway. So then he's on his own, and he gets close enough to where he can communicate with the radio tower, and he's blowing shit up, and he says he has 5 targets, and if he doesn't get the colonel back, he and his crew will his squad will start taking out various targets that have been strategically chosen. And he said that bluff because Chappie told him they won't know it's just the two of us. They won't expect it's just two jets. They're gonna anticipate there's like a whole fleet, which that's actually logical.
I mean, sure, that's logical, I guess, if you're trying to deceive them. But I don't understand how that would work out in your favor anyway, because then if they're prepared to fight more and it's just you two, like, wouldn't that make it easier for them?
Maybe. Like, it's not, I don't think it's like they would have, like, they wouldn't get more. It's not like that wouldn't buff the other team necessarily, but it doesn't aid the Americans this scenario like at all. But yeah.
No, I meant it makes it easier for the Middle Eastern people. I can't remember the name of their fucking fake country.
I just think of Libya. The
it's
real
like
country.
Belia. Like, they couldn't have come up with something better than that. I'm sorry.
They really just like they rearranged Libya.
Yeah. So fucking lazy.
Because it's vaguely based off a real scenario that happened in.
Yes, and it was filmed in Israel. Mm-hmm. But they fucking wouldn't it aid them because the billions. God damn it! The billions. They were, if they're preparing to fight more than two and only two show up. Like, wouldn't it be easy as Tom Cruise cake? Like, to just... I mean,
it's like, oh, there's two. Yeah, boom, boom. Where's the other?
Pew, pew.
And you're just waiting for more at that point.
When they blow up enemy jets, it's like one shot, and the whole thing fucking explodes in a huge fiery...
Yeah.
But, like, they get shot at a billion fucking times, and nothing happens. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's dumb. So then the not Saddam Hussein. It's obviously they looked at Saddam Hussein at the time like this guy. Mm-hmm. Who earlier in the movie when he announced at the trial of the pilot said, "I'm a pilot too. You know you were in the wrong." Because a pilot should know where they're at all the time, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so Doug tells them that he wants the captain moved or else he's going to start blowing shit up. And then when the captain wasn't being moved, he was like, okay, here goes $100 million worth of oil. And he blows up like the oil refinery.
Yes.
And then he's like, let's see him move now. And then not Saddam Hussein is like, okay, move the American. Like, get into position because we're going to take them both out at the same time. And so Doug thinks they're working to his plan because they start moving his dad. And then once Doug was about to land, the sniper takes a shot and hits the pilot, hits his dad. So he flies off and he just starts blowing more shit up.
This is like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And they save all the explosions for now.
He's just killing dozens and dozens of people.
Yeah. This is
got quite a body count.
Yeah. It's literally like he's like pulling a fucking Pearl Harbor, dude. He's literally just showing up and bombing a bunch of shit. And it's like, you understand that, like, if you're attacking a foreign country, like, that can have consequences for the entire fucking country.
For the entire world?
Yeah. Because when the Japanese thought they could pull Pearl Harbor, we fucked them up forever. Mm-hmm. Like, more than anyone has ever been fucked up in history. And hopefully no one will ever be fucked up that bad ever again. Right. But it's like, you don't know.
Like, his dad is captured, but he's just gonna, like, you just killed dozens of people.
Yeah.
And, like, this...
using stolen... technology and information, and, like, this is terrorism. As far as I'm concerned, that's like fucking terrorism, dude. Yeah.
Like, we stole military intelligence and we stole military hardware to go pull an attack on a country posing as the military, but the military didn't want to because they didn't want it to start into a conflict. They were literally trying to avoid this conflict that the billions were using the dad as bait for.
Yeah, and so now this asshole just shows up and is like, fuck you. I want to blow some
Give me back my daddy.
Yeah.
Like,
Happy Father's Day. It's we were talking about earlier how we were like, man, I kind of wish we saved Daddy for Father's Day. And I was like, you know what? Because like we reviewed Magic Bubble on Mother's Day. It's a story about a mom. And so we're like, yeah, Daddy on Father's Day, whatever. So we're like, hey, you know, we don't have like a dad-centric movie, but that's okay. And I'm just now realizing that like this very much is a dad-centric movie.
100%. Kid commits
terrorism because he loves his daddy.
He wants his daddy back.
He misses his daddy.
Don't hang my daddy. My daddy did not commit war crimes against the Geneva Convention.
But I will. Just, oh
actually, that comes into play towards the end. The international waters bit. So,
yeah.
So he drops napalm, and then the general just sending like all his dudes, and then he gets into a plane himself. Right as I was about to be like, as he's like, send your just two bravest men if you have any left, and I'm like, why don't you just fucking get it done yourself, bro? If you're gonna be talking shit to your guys. Anyway, so he gets into the plane, and Doug sees his dad is not like dead. He just got wounded. So he lands the plane and drags his dad into the plane, and they take off. More fighting is occurring. Did he kill the Saddam Hussein guy? I think he did.
I don't know. All I remember is that like the Americans showed up to help.
He did. Okay, because he blows up Saddam Hussein's plane, but then the other two MiGs are coming, which weren't even actually MiGs for the record. They just called them MiGs, but they were a totally different airplane. But so
it's like someone told him that like the nickname for a plane is
that the MiG. Russians were using were MiGs.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, all right, yeah.
He's like, and he's trying to sound cool, like he knows what he's talking about. He's like, 2 MiGs, bro.
Got a leaked copy of the Top Gun script. Yeah. It's like, all right, they're calling them MiGs.
Yeah. Yeah, because apparently, like, no one did any other fucking research. That would make a lot of sense if they're like, yeah, these guys on Top Gun, they know what they're talking about. We just gotta say what this.
So Johnny went over to the Top Gun set. And they're calling the Russian planes MiGs. I don't know.
Maybe that's just what they call the planes.
You know, we got jets and MiGs. It's like it's got to be a nickname, right?
Yeah, to fucking MiGs.
You know, like when they say bogey. 2 bogeys on my tail. What's a bogey? You know, 2 MiGs on my. It's same thing.
Same thing.
There's got to be something really stupid like that.
Yeah.
So then they're running away, and then they got more planes on the radar. And he's like, "Oh fuck, we got 5 more planes on the radar.
5 more MiGs."
Yeah, he's like, "There's 5 more MiGs," and then he's like, "Then we get over the radio. This is so and so of the U.S. Air Force." It's like, whoa, they're ours. They're American.
You could just hear the fucking like, America, fuck yeah.
Like the fact is like, there's 2 more MiGs, but they're American F-16s. It's just like, no,
those are not MiGs.
Nothing here is a MiG.
F-16. If you read it in like LEET, it could say fig.
God damn it.
Figs and MiGs.
So then the other Americans that just showed up, they get over the communication system. They're like, because now those those foreign planes are outnumbered. He's like, this is so and so of the United States Air Force, blah blah blah. You are attacking 2 American vessels above international waters, which is like the whole entire thing earlier in the movie. And he's like, do you wish to engage? And they're like, mew. They leave.
They
He's
bail.
like, they don't want to engage. Blah 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 blah. And then like they're like, oh, we got the captain back. Yay! We have to get you back to Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany, which that is where it's at. So
Hey, they got something
right.
Nice.
So then we see the plane land. We got Air Force One with everyone coming off of the plane, and I just thought about the end of fucking Freddy Got Fingered.
Proud. I was thinking of way earlier in the movie when Doug's like in his bedroom or something, and there's something on the wall that says Air Force 2000.
Yeah.
And we were like joking, like, what is that? And we're trying to figure that out. And we're like, oh, maybe it's like Air Force One. But like, we gotta appeal to a new generation.
Air Force 2000. It's the future.
It's the future.
Air Force 2. You know, but it's like Blues Brothers 2000.
We don't talk about Blues Brothers 2000.
Robotron 2049? Air Force 2000.
Oh my god.
Makes sense to me. But, so that happens, and then we get to what I was saying should be happening the entire time. They're being court-martialed.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, they're going to send us to fucking jail. I was like, yeah, kind of stole top secret materials there. That's, I'm pretty sure, some kind of felony. Or
like,
2.
I'm pretty sure that's a pretty fucking serious offense.
Like grand theft auto.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? And so they're like sitting on trial, and the guy, like the court martial.
Oh, no, wait. We found out. Chappie made it.
Oh, yeah, Chappie's alive, actually.
He ejected.
He's so alive, he'll be the only character who returns in
the 4 sequels.
Yeah.
So, Chappie ejected over the water and doggy paddled to shore, he said.
Or like an Egyptian boat picked him up or something.
I don't know. Chappie's here. Hey.
Yeah. By this point in the movie, I was like, I couldn't really hear the dialogue over the little voice in my head that was like, it's almost over. Yes, finally.
So we get to the court martialing, and we get some wacky ass salutes, and
it's like you're always dissing on like salutes in TV and movies because they never do it right.
They never do it.
They do this kind of like they put their hands over their foreheads like they're blocking the sun.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, which is like a lot of people think it is, but it's not. You put your fingertips up to your eyebrow.
Yeah. And then they like karate chop down like across their body. It's like why are you doing
They do this big swoop in like you do like it's like a snapping motion, but they do this like it's so fucking weird.
Very exaggerated swoop.
Yeah, it's anyway. So this kid's also like swearing at them in the court.
Yeah,
it's like,
but it's okay for some reason.
Yeah, even though it's like military court, so it's like extra formal.
Yeah.
So like. Okay. Why is a like civilian being court-martialed anyway? I don't even know if that's how that works.
Dude.
I don't know.
I don't know
what happens when a civilian steals a fucking F-16.
You know what, babe? Honestly, I don't think the writers knew either. And they didn't take like a fucking hour to like, I don't know what they did in the 80s, get a fucking encyclopedia or something. They couldn't call somebody. They couldn't ask.
Other military movies were able to get advisors.
What I'm saying.
They could have got anybody.
They could have got anybody.
They could have just gone down to the local VA and like just hung out.
Ask someone.
just hang on the cafeteria of the VA hospital.
Those old guys are probably dying to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Just come in and like be like, hey, so what can you tell me? And they'll go on for hours, dude.
There's one that I see at the VA hospital that I used to go to, who is an Elvis impersonator now.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Well, he has health care, right?
Yeah, that's why I was there.
He's doing okay.
He's got health here. That's,
okay.
like
He's doing better than like 80% of Americans.
I would see him at, like in the cafeteria a lot. So the court marshal is telling him, do you realize how much trouble you would be in? And the way they're phrasing everything is like, you would, you could. Do you understand if we were to push this? And he's like,
and I'm like, they're not going to do shit, are they?
They're not doing shit. And then they tell him, in exchange for his secrecy in the entire ordeal, we aren't going to do anything because you did blow up a bunch of our bad guys. Probably their leader also, I think. And saved one of ours, so...
Yeah, it's literally like, they're like, we will not punish you whatsoever, just so long as you pinky promise that you won't tell anybody about it.
I mean, that still is kind of a valid thing. It's like, look, we appreciate what you did, but let's be honest, you did it the wrong fucking way, and we can rain hell down on you if you let people know how fucking much we fucked up with our security. Because that's really what it is. It's like look, if word gets out, it's gonna be like, how the fuck did this kid steal an F-16?
Yeah.
And so if you don't tell anyone you stole an F-16,
oh my god,
that's fine.
I was so mad. I was like, this movie's just kind of pissing me off. Like, yeah, I'm not in the Air Force, but if I was and I saw that, I would be like, this is making a mockery of the Air Force. This is making the Air Force look weak, insecure, like a fucking joke.
It's absolutely like a fucking joke. But we're not still done.
That's right.
Because Chappie's like, oh, I'm thinking maybe we should do something more about that, sir. And the way he's phrasing, he's sounding like he's asking for more of a strict punishment than a slap on the wrist. And he's like, you see, this took severe disobedience. And maybe there's a place we could send him for some obedience. Some sort of academy. Mm-hmm. And so,
well, he's been getting rejected from the academy. Maybe you should throw him in. They're like, oh, yeah, great idea.
That sounds like a great plan. Some fucking kid just stole a F-16 with absolute disregard for this entire organization.
Yeah.
Welcome in.
Who made a mockery of us and stole shit from, like, literally every department.
And potentially almost started World War III.
Yeah. What the fuck? What the fuck? Man.
So...
this movie was something.
Yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. You don't really need to know anything else. It's like
I gotta jumble up earlier because the next scene is them getting off Air Force One.
Yeah, and they get off the plane and everyone claps and hugs, and then the credits just abruptly start rolling, and then there's like this really awesome fucking song that plays.
Yeah,
dude, we didn't talk about the music at all.
Yeah.
So the music was like kind of weird, like the scene where
they're training.
Yeah, and like they're flying in the plane together. You expect this really like badass.
You expect something like Danger Zone.
Yes, like Danger Zone. But instead it's like this song where this woman's singing like, I just want to be next to you and all this stuff. And I was like, this feels like just not appropriate for what's happening right now.
It sounds like similar to the song that played in Top Gun when they were riding on the motorcycle in the sunset.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But they're like in the middle of fucking combat in planes. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
There was during the montage. Was that Twisted Sister during the montage?
Yeah, it's we're not gonna take it.
Yes, we're not gonna take it.
I mean, we got like Queen and Dio. Those are all in the movie.
Yeah, there's some good songs. I just feel that like they could have got something better.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The
Like,
one thing that really weirded me out, though, I have to mention this, and like people have to hear this because maybe there's something I'm missing. But like during the graduation scene, they play like Pomp and Circumstance. You know, like every graduation, they play Pomp and Circumstance. And it's like the first like 4 notes, and then it just kind of like goes off into this different song. And I was like, what the hell is that? And it got me questioning, is like, well, is Pomp and Circumstance like, did they not have the rights to it or something? But then we find out that like it is in the public domain. So I really don't understand why they chose to do that. So I don't know, it's like in the military, do they have their own special Pomp and Circumstance that they play?
They weren't military.
Right. So
It was a high school, but then it was a high school that was on the military base.
But dude,
still.
I just don't, it's so bizarre. It was so weird. Because they had licensed music for the entire rest of the movie, and then the one song that's like public domain.
They're like, wonk, wonk, wonk.
They just made shit up. I was like, why?
It's like, they got like I was saying, like, they asked the guy, they're like,
You know how to play Pomp and Circumstance, right? He's like, yeah. It's like, and he's like, okay, yeah, good. And then it comes time to filming. He's like, oh, fuck.
Like, I was in band for a long time, and so I had to play Pomp and Circumstance at the graduation every year. And, like, I know that sheet music, okay? I know it doesn't end like that. So it was just weird to me. I was like, what the fuck is this?
100%.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Very weird.
Yeah, I don't know why that title track didn't make it in.
That's weird.
Yeah, like that the song Iron Eagle, Never Say Die, like by King Cobra, like I don't know. That was a rad song, and it was at the fucking end.
Yeah.
During the credits. That just came abruptly. Fucking weird.
Would have been better suited for the fucking fight scene.
Yeah. 100%. Especially that final, like,
yeah.
Reminds me of like right before the montage where he's like, we're gonna need, I was like, a montage. He says blah blah blah. He said something, I don't know what he said because I talked over it because I shouted a montage. But then just like that, the montage of them stealing shit started.
Montage.
God.
There's so many parallels, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I know I already joked about like that I'm not going to sit here and let you badmouth the greatest democracy the world has ever seen.
That's what the fucking trial was like.
That's exactly like, there were vibes like that. Because I guess the thing that I was reading about is that, in the 70s, the U.S. military failed just really hard. And it was like with the Vietnam War and, we lost that war. Let's be real. We lost Vietnam. We won't admit it, but like we did. And it was just fucking embarrassing and unnecessary. And so, like, by the 80s, people were kind of like, so it was like we had all these, like, movies about the military being badass. And I don't know.
I mean, that's not what this movie did.
No, but they tried. I feel like.
Is it because I feel like it's trying to make it look like a mockery?
I think they were trying to make it seem cool, but like they were also trying really hard to pander to teenagers who strongly disliked authority. And so they were kind of put in this position where they couldn't win on either side. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, but it was really dumb. Because another thing that I was reading about was that, like, I guess at the time, teenagers actually made a living wage. And so they actually had, like, disposable income. And so movies were all just trying to cash in and get their money.
Yep.
So, we had, like, Teen Wolf and Teen Witch and, like, all this, like, teen-centric stories and whatever. And, they were all generally very, like, anti-authority. It was, like, Ferris Bueller's Day Off and all this crap.
It's just really interesting when you try to make that authority the goddamn United States Air Force.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like you've got this like 80s teen movie formula of like the, I'm going to stick it to the man. But
this worked with the movie Stripes with Bill Murray and John Candy. They made a mockery of the army, but that was a comedy. So the entire time you're like, okay, this is all a joke. We're laughing at the army entirely as a joke, and not like, that they steal the secret weapon, which is like a Winnebago. I don't know if you've seen Stripes.
I haven't.
Yeah, so the secret weapon is like an armored Winnebago, and it's like lol. It's funny.
And it's a comedy. It's
like the entire time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's like we're laughing at the army, and we're laughing. Excuse me. We're laughing at the army, and we're laughing at all the formalities of the army and of basic training, all that other stuff. We're laughing at how much, all the formalities that we were just talking about, of them getting wrong in this movie. Because this movie, you have this juxtaposition of the Air Force is super badass, and that's like we need a care. This Air Force is super badass, and that's how come we have to recover this pilot, and that's why Chappie is so fucking rad, and that's how come we really should want this main character to get into the Air Force Academy, because the Air Force is rad, but also a bunch of teenagers could just get away with anything from the Air Force to go right underneath their noses. Like it's just. It doesn't make sense.
It's just, I feel the concept in principle just can't work no matter what you do with it. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say that I hated this movie, actually. It's very easy to shit on.
But it's competent enough.
Yeah, it's competent enough. Personally, I think for an action movie, there could have been more action.
There was a lot missing right in the middle. We had
there was
action,
a lull in the middle with just like a lot of talking, like when they were planning everything. I feel like that went on way too long. The
entire movie is like a lull, actually, because like if we really think about it, we get the action scene in the beginning when he gets captured, and then we get the airplane race.
Yeah.
Again, and then
a bunch of fucking nothing.
Right.
And then we get a montage. And then we get the training part where he's missing the things. And then we get the final climax.
Yeah.
That's it. That's between all that just is talking.
Just talking. And not very good talking. I mean, they're talking about committing hella crimes.
It's just like, I feel like you really could summarize, like, there's so much that could just been cut down. It's like, we got stuff. Oh, we need to do thing. Here's what we need to do thing. We got the thing to do thing. Will you help us do the thing? I'll help you do the thing.
Yeah.
And then like, there's so much of the plan, because there was like the planning, then there was the stealing, and then there was the explanation, and then the further planning that they all were doing, and just, I don't know.
Yeah, it was too long. I agree. It could have benefited from like a legit montage. Like put the fucking, like 80s song in there.
Yeah. Because it was a montage. It was a montage, but just long cuts of everything. Because like it was like the girls walking, hey dad, blah blah blah. Like, and he goes over there, and then he steals thing. It's like just cut in, like, and like fast, just more cuts. Like you could just split that down so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like that entire middle piece could be an entire fucking montage. The entire like third act.
Yeah, we got some laughs from some of like the bad miniature explosions and stuff.
Yeah, those are the best part. I wish there was more of that.
Me too. That was my favorite.
When the movie opened up with that, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, then it goes away.
Yeah.
And then you just get nothing but these like shitty characters who are making a mockery of the military and all this stuff. And I was just like, generally I just don't really like the message of this movie. But it was fine, I guess.
I mean, it functions. It's a functional movie.
if you don't think about it in like a real life context, you think of it as like a fictional story.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can turn your brain off enough. Like, I could see someone being like nostalgic for this movie and being able to like write that stuff off and being like, no, it's fun. Just like, don't think too hard about it. Like, I could see maybe enjoying it in that context, but like as someone who doesn't have any connection to it or anything, I'm just watching it and I'm like,
And like I said, it's not even like the whole mockery of the military thing, because like I've laughed at movies about that before. There's plenty of movies like that. It's the fact that we're supposed to laugh at the mockery while also be like, man, this is such a rad organization.
Exactly.
Like which is it?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That it's like, it's just an inconsistent message, and So, overall, would I recommend this movie?
It's on Netflix, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, if like you're a fan of Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
And you just want more content.
Since fucking Top Gun Maverick got delayed again to fucking November.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's supposed to come out like next week, like it was supposed to.
I know.
So, yeah. If you can't wait for Top Gun Maverick, there are like 4 Iron Eagle movies you can check out.
Who knows? Maybe the other ones are better. This one was... I don't know. It was okay.
I think that does just about wrap up this episode.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Visit our website, VHSaturday.com, and join our mailing list to get all updates VH Saturday.
If you would like to get some of our stickers, we have them available for $5 each. Send us a message on any of our socials.
And we will see you next week. But until then, remember,
be kind, rewind.